Okay, I think we're live. Great. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. It's a beautiful, well, it's starting as a beautiful day here in Chicago for us. So if you're tuning in from somewhere else, let us know if it's a beautiful day where you are. Today, we're going to work on a style called a modified waltz. So in the past, we've done a lot of different styles that have been, we've done a box step before, and it's been a little more universal, so it's been to a time signature that's more of a 4/4 or an even timing, and today we're going to talk about a modified waltz, which is a little different. So while people are still starting to join on, I'll talk a little bit about the timing of this dance, because when we do this, it's going to be to, and this is a little more on the technical musical theory side of it, but it's going to be in a 6/8 timing. So traditionally, I would say the most popular time signature is a 4/4. Very even. You just count 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's a full 8 count. It's just very even. Timing stays the same. However, with a modified waltz, like I said, it is going to be in a 6/8, which means that you can still count that 8 count, but every time you count, every beat gets an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you should be able to tap that 8 count with one hand, and then you'll also hear within that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This might be a little confusing at first, but it gets a little easier to hear actually the more you listen to music and start to kind of hear that. I would say a great starter song would be Perfect by Ed Sheeran. This is one that you will hear at weddings all over the place, and it's one of the more famous songs in this time signature. So in this song, you'll hear still that 1, 2, 3, 4, but you'll also hear that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So if you're tuning in, that's how we'll kind of count it today. We'll count it in that 4, but with every step, we're going to take that 1, 2, 3, and I'll break it down as we go through. So if you've seen our past videos, you'll know that we are going to be doing how to do the box step that we're going to be doing today, but we're going to talk again about how to plug this into a little bit of a different time signature. So if you're just tuning in, we'd love to know where you are right now. Like I said, we're in Chicago. It's starting out as a nice day, but I think there's some rain in the forecast for later. My name is Megan, and I will be leading the class, and Bettina will be my follower today. So let's start with our box step and talk a little bit about the technique of the modified waltz. If you're listening to a song again and it has that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, there is another style of waltz called the Viennese waltz, which is traditionally what you would dance to a faster waltz song. However, Viennese is not always beginner friendly, and it's definitely not wedding dance floor friendly because it does travel a lot, it does not stop moving. So this is a little bit of an easier way to take that waltz out into the world without running down everyone on the dance floor. So let's go ahead and start with our box step. The box step is the same for leader and follower. So we're both going to do this demonstration. We'll rotate around for you. So when we take this first step, I'm going forward with the left foot. This is going to be forward left, and then I'm going side, close, and then I'm going to go back with my right foot, and then side, close to my left. So I'll repeat that again. My left foot goes forward, and then I'm going side, close, and then I'm going back with that right foot, and then I'm going to side close over to my left. I'll do one more of those. So we go forward, left, side close to the right, then we go back with that right foot and side close over to the left. So now let's plug this in with our music. So with our music, like I said, we're going to hear that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 laid on top of that 1, 2, 3, 4. So when we do this, we're going to hit our 1, 2, 3, 4 in our box. So we're going to go 1, and then 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. With that 1, 2, 3, we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, 4. So whichever way is easier for you to count it, I find the 4 is easier for me to count it, just because then you're not counting 1, 2, 3 over and over and over again. It's a little bit easier to just count that 8 count instead, nice and slowly. We're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about the technique and do this a little bit faster, and then we'll go ahead and dance it together. But in this dance, we have what we call a brushing technique. So when we're going through, we have a little bit of that rise and fall that you have in the regular waltz, but it's not as defined. So when we step into that first step, I'm relaxing into my knees, letting my foot kind of brush off the floor, and then I'm kind of lifting up in the corner. So my knees are nice and relaxed. I'm leading with my toes, and I go over to the side, and then I can stand. So that we have a little bit of a down, we go down, and then we come over here and go up, and then we go down again, down, and up. And this is our rise and fall. So we fall first, fall, then we rise, and then we fall, and then we rise. And when I'm doing that fall, we'll get into this a little bit more when we dance with our partner, but you don't want to hunch over so much. You want to make sure that you are nice and rolled back, so that way when I fall, I'm not actually going forward and down like this. I'm just letting my foot lead, and then rising up. Great. Please let us know if you have any questions in the comments. We're kind of rolling through this a little bit quicker, so if you have any questions about the timing or the step itself, just let us know. So now we're going to go ahead and dance this together. So I'm going to have Bettina follow, and my followers are going to start going backwards with the right foot first. We'll start without a frame, and so I'm just going to stand in front of Bettina, and we're going to get into the step. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So you'll notice that Bettina was waiting for me to take my first step. So if you're following this, you want to make sure that you're waiting for your partner to take that step backwards. If you're at home and you can't decide who wants to lead and who wants to follow, I would recommend whoever wants to kind of navigate around the dance floor, that'll be your leader. Whoever wants to do more of the spins and things like that, that's traditionally done more by the follower. So I would say that's kind of how you can determine which role that you fall into or which you identify with more. And we're going to go ahead and get into a dance frame and try this together. So for my followers, I'm going to have them hold out in a T just like this in front of your leaders. And leaders, you're going to chop under the arm with your right arm. And then you're going to place your hand right on your followers, kind of at the bottom of their shoulder blade here. I'll rotate around so you can kind of see this. Since it is still a waltz step, we are trying to keep a more traditional frame, so you want to make sure that you're connecting with your partner's side here, keeping this elbow nice and high, and followers, you can relax your arm on top of the leaders. So once we're over here, I'm going to rotate us a little bit more. Once we're here in this position, leaders, I want to make sure that I'm keeping my elbow nice and lifted. Followers, you're maintaining contact with your leader, so you're relaxing all of your weight onto your leader's frame. We don't want to droop down this way because we're going to lose that connection. And also, it's just a lot easier to feel what the other person is doing the more engaged we are. With this hand over here, we want to come into a nice clasp. We want to make sure that we're not crisscrossing our fingers, because if I tried to turn Bettina like this, it's going to hurt. So we want to make sure we're in a nice clasp, and then we can try this step together. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Nice. So let us know if you have any questions about the frame or anything like that. And we're going to keep on moving through. We're going to start with some rotation, and some rotation is going to go counterclockwise for this style. This is going to help us move around the floor. This is also just going to help it, give it a little more visual interest than just standing in the same place and doing that straightforward box step over and over again. So we're going to get back into our frame, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the mechanics of the rotation. For my leader, when we're in our dance frame, you want to give just a little bit of pressure right here in the palm of your hand, guiding your follower over to your left-hand side. And it's most important that you start from the top and work your way down. So you don't want to start with your feet first when you're rotating, because if my frame is still square to my follower and my feet are way out to the side, they're going to have no idea what's going on. So in order to bring your follower with you, you have to start with the frame first. So frame is going to go, we're going to rotate that counterclockwise clockwise, so over my left shoulder. That's what's going to help my follower come with me around. Something else to keep in mind for both my leader and follower, small steps. It feels a little counterintuitive. You're going to want to take big steps, but the smaller the step, the easier it's going to be to rotate, the easier it's going to be to stay together and feel what the other person is doing. If we're taking big steps, we're going all over the place, we're getting all wild and crazy. So we want to make sure that we are taking it nice and slow. So we'll go ahead and do this with the rotation, and then we're going to incorporate the music. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great. Okay, so let's try this with a little bit of music, and then we'll go ahead and start doing a couple boxes just in place, and then we'll start that rotation. Again, when you're rotating, it doesn't need to be a specific set degree. Just rotate, start really small, and then the more you feel comfortable, then you can elaborate a little bit more on that and kind of start using the floor a little bit more. But I would say at first, just make sure that you're bringing your partner with you, keep it nice and small. Okay, here we go. Okay, so that song that we just played is a great example of counting that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 within that 4 count. So if you need to just replay what we just did so you can start to kind of hear that 1, 2, 3 while you simultaneously hear 1, 2, 3, 4. Feel free to replay that as many times as you need. And also something you could do is have your partner do the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 while you do the 1, 2, 3, 4, so you can both kind of start to hear it. If that messes you up too much, don't worry about it, but it could be a fun activity for you to start to hear that in the song. And like I said, there are a lot of good wedding songs that are in that 6/8 timing. So another good example, other than Perfect by Ed Sheeran, would be 1,000 Years by Christina Perri. That's another modified waltz. And If I Ain't Got You by Alicia Keys is another good modified waltz that you would hear at a lot of weddings, and is really good to kind of hear that beat and start to practice how you can hear that music. So we're going to go ahead and incorporate a turn into this. And like I said, I know we're kind of speeding through, so just pause it if you need to, and if you're watching this back later, go ahead and pause it, review if you need to. Otherwise, if you have any questions, if you're watching us live now, go ahead and ask. I'd be happy to go back over anything that we already did. But for now, we're going to move on into our turn. So our turn is going to be only for the follower. Leaders, we want to bring our follower all the way around 360. We're going to keep doing this timing, but we'll go ahead and do an example first. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great. So when we go through this turn, you'll notice that leaders, you're not really moving at all. Your footwork isn't changing. The only thing you're doing is signaling this turn and bringing your partner around. So when we do this, leaders, this is going to happen on the tail end of our first box. So we're doing 2 full box steps for this. I'm going 1, 2, and then on 3, I'm dropping that arm to signal, and then going 4, my follower's starting to turn. I go 5, 6, and on 7, I'm reconnecting, and we're back in our frame by 8. So I'm dropping that hand on 3, reconnecting on 7. And it's always going to be when you do that back step with the right foot. So for my follower, when we're going through this, we're going to start when we feel the leader drop the arm. So we'll go ahead and show you that footwork as well. So as we're going through this, you're going to feel your leader drop the arm on that forward step. We're starting with that back step. We go 1, 2, 3. So now my leader has dropped their arm. Then I can start my turn. So I go 4 and 5, 6, and we reconnect with our leader, 7 and 8. So we're pretty much just walking in a circle at this point. So as soon as I feel my leader drop that arm, when I take my forward step, I'm just going over my right shoulder, still keeping up that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 count, or that 4, 5, 6, and then we reconnect on 7. However you want to count it is totally fine. Just keep your feet moving, keep walking through that turn. You want to make sure that you get all the way around to reconnect with your leader by the time you hear that count 7. So we'll do this again together, and I'll do it from a couple different angles so that way you can see it from a different viewpoint. So now I'll have my leaders, or I'll stand facing the camera so you can see the follower's footwork, and then we'll flip around so you can see the leader's footwork a little more closely. So we go 1, 2, drop the arm, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8. And then we can go ahead and keep boxing out of it, rotate around. I'll show you the leader's footwork. So we go, drop the arm, turn around, forward, reconnect right here, and then we're back. I'll show you from one more angle. So we go 1, 2, 3, follower turns, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. And leaders, if you do want to rotate a little bit to meet your follower at the tail end, that's also okay. Just make sure that you're rotating to your left. So as your follower goes around over to your left-hand side, you can kind of rotate a little bit to meet them and then get back into that rotation. It'll help smooth things out a little bit, so that way you don't feel like you're just standing in place and then we go back into a more straightforward box and then you're like, oh no, okay, now we gotta start to rotate. It can combine those things so that way it doesn't feel as disjointed. So again, if you have any questions about that turn, I know we kind of flew through that a little bit. Couple additional details for my leader. After you drop the arm, something that you want to do is raise this left hand up in the air and draw a little halo over your follower's head. This is going to be a clockwise halo, and you want to make sure that your partner is clearing over to your left-hand side. So as soon as I drop this arm, I know my partner's coming to the left, so I don't want to then step in their way. I want to take a really small step, almost in place, to finish my box before getting into the next one. If I'm taking a huge step and getting in their way, it's going to, my follower is not going to feel like they have any room to turn, and also our arm is going to be really tight. As soon as I raise this arm, if I'm also coming over here, my follower is going to be like, I don't have any room. So you want to give your partner plenty of room. We don't have to be like pressed together during this turn. This actually allows for us to have a little bit of space between the two of us, so don't feel like you have to be like side by side the entire time. So leaders, keep that step nice and small, draw that halo, bring your partner back around. You can even rotate a little bit to get facing them again a little bit sooner and reconnect into that frame. For my followers, as you're going through, something I often get asked is, what do I do with my other arm? So I like to keep my arm kind of out to the side, so that way it's ready to re-engage back into that frame as soon as I get around. I like to think I am petting a really tall dog as I walk around through this turn. So think about keeping it nice and low, palm facing down. You don't want to be like out to the side, or unless that's your thing, you want to do something a little showier. But for me, when I'm following this step, I like to keep my palm down, just like I'm petting a really tall dog, and then my arm is ready to engage back into that frame a little bit faster. So let's go ahead and do all of this with the music. We'll go ahead and do it a couple of times just so you can see us dance it all the way through. We'll do some boxes in place, then we'll start to rotate, then we'll incorporate that turn. We'll get back into those boxes and continue that rotation. And again, if you have any questions, just let us know in the comments. I'd be happy to go back over anything that you need to. This was kind of just a speedy tutorial on specifically the modified waltz. We also have another video on the box step and this turn if you're looking for additional details, or if you're looking for this step in a 4/4 timing. So we're gonna go ahead and do this one more time. Again, this music is a good example, so kind of start to listen to this song, start to hear that 1, 2, 3 in addition to that 4 count or that 8 count. Here we go. So if you get done with that, leaders, and you feel like your arms are a little tired, you know you're doing it right. So maintain that nice frame that whole time. It can be very hard to get back into it after you disconnect to get through that turn. So after you finish that turn, just have a quick frame check in, make sure that we are keeping our shoulders nice and rolled back, keeping our frame nice and firm, but still fluid enough that we don't look like robots while we're dancing. You'll notice that Bettina and I were doing a little bit of what we call shaping, and that's just the side-to-side movement when we take those side steps. I'm just kind of leaning into those steps, opening my side up as I go through. So let us know if you have any questions about anything that we went over today. We would be more than happy to answer those. You can get on weddingfirstdancelessons.com if you liked what you saw, or if some of those songs I mentioned you're kind of thinking about, if you have a wedding or event coming up and you're like, we actually really do like 1,000 Years as potentially our first dance song. If you get on our custom choreography, we could either make a choreography for you, or we do, you can get on our YouTube page, which you are already on, and see all of the videos that we've already done as well, that we've pre-choreographed that you can also purchase and learn from the comfort of your own home. Thanks so much for joining us today. Again, reach out to us if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out to us as well if you'd like to set up a Zoom or Skype lesson if you are not in the Chicago area and you want to come in and see us. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time.